Welcome, dear friends, to another session of the daily Bhagavatam mirror. I hope the sound quality is okay. And today we are reading the last two verses of the 8th chapter of the 11th canto. So please stay tuned. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayat Nashta Prayeshva Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktiya Bhavati Naishtiki. So, we are reading from the 11th canto, chapter 8, verse 44 and 43 and 44. These two are the last verses of the 8th chapter. And for those who were not present during the last sessions, there are 9 gurus mentioned here in this chapter, and many of them occur in Mother Nature, like the bumblebee, the humble bumblebee, or the ocean, or the python. And the last guru that was mentioned is surprisingly a prostitute named Pingala. And Pingala, she, the story goes that she went outside of her house at the front gate at the street waiting for customers. And she dressed very attractively, decorated herself very attractively, but somehow no man at this particular evening was interested to accept her service. So then first she became frustrated and desperate and frustrated. And then this frustration turned into indifference and detachment. And she became aware that this world is temporary and suffering and happiness, it's just a constant changing. And she became aware that her job is not very helpful for spiritual life. She admitted that she really also did this profession out of lust for material sense gratifications. She felt a certain gratification when many lovers approached her. So she became ashamed that actually all these lovers, they cannot really satisfy me. What to speak of liberating me from the cycle of birth and death. It is only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, who first of all is the true lover of every living entity, and beyond birth and death is our eternal associate who can deliver us from this suffering of material existence and be our friend and lover for eternity. So this she realized at this particular evening, and she became very satisfied, very detached from material existence. And here, now this Avaduta Brahmana who tells that story, tells what the final state of that prostitute is after this or during this realization. So let's hear what this Avaduta Brahmana has to say about this prostitute. The Sanskrit goes, Shri Brahmana Uvacha Evang Vyavasita Matir Durasham Kanta Tarshajam Chitvopasa Shamang Asthaya Shayang Upavivesha Sa. Translation. The Avaduta said, thus her mind completely made up, Pingala cut off all her sinful desires to enjoy sex pleasure with lovers, and she became situated in perfect peace. Then she sat down on her bed. And now the last verse, number 44. Ashahi paramang dukam nairashyam paramang sukham yatha sanchitya kantasham sukham shushva papingala. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of the greatest unhappiness, and freedom from such desire is the cause of the greatest happiness. Therefore, completely cutting off her desire to enjoy so-called lovers, Pingala very happily went to sleep. And the purport is just one sentence. Thus and the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 11th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Story of Pingala. So yes, but we get some interesting philosophical message here. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of the greatest unhappiness, and freedom from such desire is the cause of the greatest happiness. So I think we all have this experience that the more we have material desires, we want this and we want that, the more we feel unsatisfied. So, because there are two chances. Either we get these desires fulfilled, or we don't get these desires fulfilled. But often, mostly in both cases, we are unsatisfied after that. When we do not get those desires fulfilled, it is very obvious that we are unsatisfied or even frustrated. But even if those desires are fulfilled, often it turns out that we are disappointed with the fulfillment of those desires. And after a couple of days, we feel bored even. Oh, I thought this is such a great thing, but now just after 3 days, I feel bored, and I even think about new things I want to get. I think most of you guys had this experience when you were a child. You had birthday or Christmas and you got some gift. And there were situations I played with that gift only that Christmas Eve evening. I played with that gift. Very fascinated this toy was. I was jubilant. And the next morning already, I thought, well, I'm not really inspired to play with this toy today. So that fascination went only for a couple of hours. So, and then we become frustrated and we hanker for new things. So this state of mind to be always hankering for material desires is very, as in this verse it is said, it is the cause of the greatest unhappiness. And there is a story that comes into my mind. There were once two persons. They did some favor for the king. Somehow they satisfied the king. They made the king happy. And the king, they called those two persons and said, you guys, you made me very happy. And I want to offer you all the land you want of my kingdom. The only condition is that you circumambulate everything you like to have, but before sunset, you have to be here. If you miss that point of sunset and you get late, you become late, then everything is over. You get nothing. So you can now go, and everything you circumambulate until sunset and come back to this palace here, this is yours. This is your possession from then on. So these two persons, they understood the conditions, and so then the first one, he started running. He thought, I want to get everything possible, and he ran and ran, and he ran around a forest. He thought, this is a very beautiful forest. And then he detected behind the forest a beautiful lake. He said, this would be so nice. If this lake would be mine, I could build a vacation house there. And he ran and ran, and he was quite already very exhausted. And then he noticed that the sun already approached the horizon. It became late afternoon, and he said, oh, I had already run a good amount of distance. Better I ran back to the palace, otherwise I will miss that critical point of time. So then on his way back, he detected with his eye corner, oh, there's a beautiful castle there, a very nice mansion, like a castle, like of Louis the 14th. I should make this special endeavor, although it's nearly impossible, but I have to get this nice, beautiful castle with its garden. And he started to head for circumambulating also this castle. So it was very exhausting for him. Somehow he could circumambulate this castle, and he were heading for the palace because the sun was only some centimeters above the horizon. So he ran and ran and ran, and the sun became nearer to the horizon, and at one point it touched the horizon, and you could only see half of the sun, and he ran. So then 10 meters before the palace gate, he broke down death. He had a breakdown and he died. So then the other one, he only made 2-3 steps, and he said, well, there is the story of Vamanadev in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He instructed the king, Bali Maharaj, that one who is not satisfied with 3 steps of land, he will be not satisfied with anything. So he took that example, and he only took 3 steps of land, and he was very satisfied. He made a little tiny garden with flowers, and he offered those flowers to Lord Sri Krishna, and he was the happiest man on earth. So yes, I think this story illustrates the message of today's Bhagavatam verse. I will read it again finally. And so, material desire is undoubtedly the cause of the greatest unhappiness, and freedom from such desire is the cause of the greatest happiness. Therefore, completely cutting off her desire to enjoy so-called lovers, Pingala very happily went to sleep. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you for watching and listening. I just detect here not a castle of Louis the 14th, but a comment. Vikas Vasvani writes, utter frustration leading to indifference and detachment, coming from inability as anticipated So the prostitutes did leave us with the natural consequence of thinking beyond the immediate. The higher reason, and this was greatly and aptly highlighted by you. Thank you. The viewers will remain grateful to you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank all the listeners. This is the 37th episode. These days have been engrossed in political developments here in India. Yes, I have heard something. So keep forgetting the original reason. Thank you for the daily reminder. Is the strive for establishing a just government also a material desire? Is it Rajasic or Sattvic? Okay. So is the strive for establishing a just government also a material desire? No. I would clearly say no. We all hanker, I think all sane persons in this world, we hanker for a government who is dharmic, as it is said in Sanskrit, that follows dharma. Because without dharma, dharma comes from God. Dharma comes from God. When we follow dharma, we satisfy God, we satisfy Krishna, and we also are satisfied then, because life is in order, life is peaceful with dharma. If there's always crime and agitation, an unstable government, scarcity of food, then our life is always in a turbulent state, and we cannot focus our mind that good, that well on our devotional service, practice of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When your first thought in the morning is where to get food this day, or will I have a rooftop still next night? For most people, this is very not a very ideal state to concentrate on, reading the Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna. So a certain kind of stability is needed to focus our mind on spiritual life. If you are a very advanced devotee, you are not affected by this. But most of us, we are not that advanced as, for instance, Queen Kunti. She prayed in the 8th canto that let me, oh dear Lord, let me be always in a kind of trouble state so that I can always remember you. Okay, this is true. Material suffering can help us remember that there is God and that He can help us. But if this is constantly, if we are constantly in a troubled position, even this might be very difficult for most of us. So yes, even the people in the Vedic times, they were hankering for the so-called Rama Rajya, the kingdom of Lord Rama. And when Rama ruled the citizens and his kingdom, everyone was perfectly God conscious. So this is my answer. It is totally sattvic, this desire. But of course, in the Kali Yuga, this desire is always disturbed. We mostly have rulerships and governments that are often corrupt or aggressive, greedy, and so on. But still, this desire is a sattvic, noble, dharmic desire. So thank you very much. I will close here, and I have ended this chapter now. How this will go on, you will find out in the next session, hopefully tomorrow. Hare Krishna.